Distinguished guests, please welcome New York State Office of General Services Commissioner Jeanette Moy. Please welcome Columbia School of Law Professor Jane Ginsburg. And please welcome the 57th Governor of the State of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, well, good afternoon. I'm a little bit in a time warp here. What an extraordinary day here in our state's capital. A day we've been waiting for a considerable time to start recognizing that there are women in the state of New York, and a number of them are quite extraordinary. And the fact that there were no women when the initial carvings were done on this $1 million staircase, they thought they fixed it back in 1898 and added 6 women and thought they were done now. They were wrong. Today we're going to continue celebrating the incredible contributions of New York women making history. And today we celebrate with many of our friends. I'm proud to be here with our Commissioner Jeanette Moy, who has done a great job shepherding this project through in the final months here. We have Jane Ginsburg and the Professor Ginsburg, and many family members, Claire and Ed Stiepelman, the sister-in-law, brother-in-law, family members are here. They journeyed here. We also have Meredith Bergman, the sculptor, who we had a chance to connect with as they are doing sort of their practice work to ensure that this was done properly on this particular date. I want to thank her and her family for being here as well, and Patrick Piggott, the artist, who helped us with the renderings, and others were involved in the sculpting. What a great, great project this has been. A number of elected officials are joining us here. I just saw Assemblywoman Glick is behind us. I don't have the full list. I saw Assemblymember Pat Fahey. What other elected officials am I missing? I don't want to miss anybody. I think you got it. Okay. Strong women, my partners here in government in Albany. So this is the day we talk about strong women. Something everybody who makes it to these halls knows something about, our assembly members, our senators, my partners. But today we celebrate one woman in particular, a woman who has inspired an entire generation with T-shirts and Notorious RBG and all the excitement and energy about the one and only Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She is one of New York's most revered daughters. She also made history with her Brooklyn toughness and the tenacity that was required to break through not just glass ceilings. It seemed like she had to break through walls in order to achieve what she did. You know, so many strikes against her starting out. She had to force her way through the doors in law firms and in courtrooms and all the work she had to do. And it was not an easy journey. And I'm really proud that what she struggled with and had to overcome and how she persevered was captured in movies and books so people could understand that ascending to the highest court in our nation was not an easy task for her, but she made it happen. So, by force of her intellect and toughness that we love, she achieved history, not just to be the second woman appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, but also the first Jewish woman on the Supreme Court. Now, she also is a model for some of us who are raising kids while balancing careers. The fact that Jane is here and obviously thriving, she survived with the support of a strong family, her mother's endeavors, but that certainly inspired Jane to be a preeminent professor at Columbia Law School today. So her legacy continues even through her family. But for us, the legacy is one of a woman who had to manage the home front, a husband with illness, and try to break through so much. And those of us who've had similar challenges and those who have even had to endure more take strength from this woman. That's why it was so important for me to have here in the Capitol and continue the legacy that was started before my tenure, to have her in a place where women could walk down and pause for a moment, and children can see and ask the questions like, why is she there? Who is this woman who did something so extraordinary that her image is emblazoned on this sandstone here in our Capitol? But also one thing I would never forget when I had a chance to spend some time with Justice Ginsburg. She's a woman who kept her promises. What does that mean? Back in 2019, she journeyed to a place far, far away known as Buffalo. She came to the law school. Now, what few people understood is that she showed up on a Monday after going through several days of chemotherapy. And the question is, why would she be at the Buffalo Law School on this date and at this time? One of her classmates from law school was a great friend of mine, Wayne Wiesbaum. He had invited her to come and she promised she would. But Wayne had passed during the year. Truly, she wouldn't have had to keep that promise. But she showed up and had a chance to tour the grounds and meet students and faculty and teach a class with Wayne's widow, Jane. And so that to me was a testament to someone who was undergoing treatments for her own illness and was dead set that she was going to keep that promise to Wayne and Janet Wiesbaum. So she spent not just an afternoon or did a quick check of the box. She came and spent hours and hours and hours over several days. And when she spoke to the audience at night, this tiny person rose up. We all understood why she was appointed to be that first person on the Supreme Court, and she made us all so very proud. And so, her carving is the first that is unveiled since the completion of what they call the Great Western Staircase over 125 years ago. She will now be the 7th woman. You may know some of them happen to be the granddaughter of the architect. Nice to have connections in high places. So she joins the likes of Clara Barton, Susan B. Anthony, and many others. And she talked about how those women inspired her. Susan B. Anthony, who she once noted, helped keep dreams of equal citizenship alive in a days when few would listen. Well, she was one we do listen to now. Her voice continues to inspire, to prod women, to push them to their best, to be their best self, and also to make contributions to society, whether it's in the law or other professions, because all of us have a responsibility to understand her story, embrace that story as one of our fellow New York women, but also to make sure we all leave our own legacies just as she did. So she'll continue to be a beacon of hope, reminder of our responsibilities, and make sure we continue to strive for a state and a nation that ensures just and equal treatment for all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pride I present to you the daughter of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Professor Jane Ginsburg, who will talk about her mother.
Thank you so much, Governor Hochul, for those most moving remarks. The family of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg deeply appreciates this honor to her memory in the capital of the state where she was born and grew up in Brooklyn, and also went to college at Cornell. Before her appointment to the federal judiciary in Washington, D.C., my mother's professional career as an advocate with the ACLU and as a professor at Columbia also centered on New York. It has been inspiring to follow sculptor Meredith Bergman's development of the portrait, including the resolution of technically challenging issues, such as which style of eyeglasses and how to represent them. Of the myriad figures adorning the Great Staircase, I believe there only one sports similar eyewear and not as successfully. I am sure that all here present and the people of New York will share the family's admiration for the final product. This wonderful portrait joins company with major historic figures, including other strivers for equality, such as Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass. It also takes its place among the unknown and unsung, the faces of members of the families of the artisans who carved the figures of the famous. My favorite is Lucretia, perhaps because that is the name of Justice Ginsburg's great-granddaughter. My mother, Justice Ginsburg, would have been proud to share the sandstone spotlight with all of these personalities, great and small. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me now introduce Commissioner Jeanette Moy, the Commissioner of Office of General Services, and thank her and her team for making this day become a reality.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for introducing me and entrusting me and our great agency with this project. Thank you, Professor Jane Ginsburg and the Ginsburg family for allowing New York State and the Office of General Services to honor your mother in this manner. My name is Jeanette Moy, and I'm the Commissioner of the New York State Office of General Services. And today we're here to celebrate a historic moment in this Capitol. This has been 2 years in the making, and it was teamwork that got us here. Under Governor Hochul's leadership, today, New York is honoring the life, the legacy, and the accomplishments of Justice Ginsburg. This carving is the first being added to the Great Western Staircase since 1898, and she is only the 7th woman ever to be added to this staircase. What makes this moment even more meaningful is that throughout this process, OGS had the support and input of the Ginsburg family. We are extremely grateful for their input and their involvement guiding us throughout this project. I want to acknowledge all the current and past members of Team OGS who came up with the idea of adding a carving of Justice Ginsburg to the Capitol, and whose dedication and hard work made this happen. Those members include those from our Design and Construction Group, Deputy Commissioner Bridget O'Hanlon, Associate Commissioner Eric Deo, our first female Capitol architect, Bevan Collins, ever in the history of New York State, the first woman to hold that position and long overdue. Area Supervisor Rich Hines, Jason Coyce, Andrea Lazarski, the Capitol Restoration Coordinator for Design and Construction. From our Communications and Digital Media team, Associate Commissioner for Communications and Media, Georgina Parsons, Seamus O'Donnell, our Creative Director, Julia Baldwin, our Senior Graphic Designer for Media Services, and Andrew Sober, our Graphic Designer. From our Utility Group and our Real Estate team, Deputy Commissioner for Real Estate, Dave DeMott, Associate Commissioner, Brad Hutton, and Dave Frick. Thank you, Team OGS. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. Now, this carving shows that we can simultaneously preserve the history of this building and also make changes that allow us to honor the women who have shaped the direction of New York State. It should not go unnoticed that this project happened under the leadership of Governor Hochul, the first woman to be elected governor of our great state. Who has asked us all to lead differently, to involve individuals, to be a part of this great moment. I'm also struck as the first woman of color to lead the Office of General Services, and as I mentioned, having our first woman serve in the role of Capitol Architect. Our head of Design and Construction, Bridget O'Hanlon, also a woman. Another woman, our figurative sculpture artist, Meredith Bergman, who has chosen to create this tribute to Justice Ginsburg. And I want to thank her and the other artists that were a part of this process. Inscription carver, our first male that I'll read off, Adam Heiler. Stone carver, Evan Morse. And lastly, the contractors that were part of this work. Scaffolding contractors, Dwayne Builders. Masonry contractor, Lupini. Structural engineering firm, Ryan Briggs Clark Davis. Prime construction trade manager, VMJR. And architects, Bell and Spina. Now, Justice Ginsburg once said, "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It should not be that women are the exception." The location that was selected for Justice Ginsburg's portrait is a blank expanse above John Jay, the first U.S. Supreme Court Justice, and the only Supreme Court Justice who appears twice as a portrait in the Great Western Staircase. The second floor location that was chosen for the carving also places Justice Ginsburg at the level of the building where only men have been depicted to date. The location is the perfect place to honor an incredible woman and an incredible leader and phenomenal attorney. The Great Western Staircase is where civic engagement happens here in the Capitol. People come here to advocate about the issues that they care about. They come here to visit. Our children learn about what inspires them right here in the Capitol. And not having more women depicted sends a message around what we found was important. And today, underneath this governor, we're telling all New Yorkers and visitors that New Yorkers matter, that women matter. This carving will ensure that Justice Ginsburg will continue to be a source of inspiration for future generations of women and all New Yorkers. Thank you, Governor Hochul.
I do want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to see in person Meredith Bergman. She did an extraordinary job. I think you'll all be seeing momentarily her creativity, her precision, and her ability to make a blank slate of stone come to life with the image of someone that will be enduring there for many hundred years to come. Let's give a special round of applause to Meredith Bergman. Meredith.